So, Blizzard decided to start running Sylvanas' character a lot earlier than I had expected. With the release of the Sylvanas Choice Cinematic, it does seem like she is starting to doubt the Jailer. Now, of course, at the moment it is just set up to go either way, but is the Banshee Queen starting to get disillusioned with her newfound master, and will she ultimately start working against Zovaal? Brought to you by Gamivo.com. Make sure to click the link in the description and get Shadowlands as well as game time at discounted prices. Sylvanas, since the beginning, has been a tragic character to say the least. A ranger general that fell to Arthas, and her entire life she never really had free will to choose her own destiny and really has been a victim. Windrunner did her best to defend her homeland, she was incredibly brave, yet she fell and was raised to serve the same person that did all the damage. Then she freed herself, but realized that now as a Forsaken she isn't exactly free, or at least as free as she thought, as this state between life and death is her new prison. Sylvanas figured that getting rid of Arthas would fulfill her purpose and that now she can finally end her existence. However, as she flung herself from the Icecrown Citadel, she realized that not only did this not solve anything, but after ending her existence, an even worse fate awaits her with the way the Shadowlands and the afterlife is set up. So Sylvanas saw this as one gigantic injustice, as she did everything right in life, she fought for her people, she was brave, and now she's granted eternal torment with absolutely zero choice. So the Jailer offered her a choice, if you can call it a choice, to serve him and to remake the Shadowlands. We still don't know what exactly his plan is and what the current order is about, but he definitely played on her strong emotions about the injustice that hit her, and how not only can she get her free will back and choose her own destiny, but she can also rid others of what she felt in her darkest moments. So Sylvanas was sent on a mission to get rid of Bolvar and to essentially cause the Shadowlands expansion. Now, I'm not sure Blizzard really planned this from the start, as she went from a really tragic character to a morally grey, ends justify the means type character to literally just straight out evil villain destroying Teldrassil with nothing grey in between. Now, a part of that can be justified with the fact that knowing what the Shadowlands are about, it turns out the mortal life really doesn't matter all that much, but I really don't think that is enough to redeem her in this matter. It was obvious that Zovaal had granted Sylvanas incredible power, and since the start, she was completely loyal and dedicated to him and his purpose. She was just set out on serving him. However, we've seen Sylvanas convincing Anduin to join her side, and now with the most recent cinematic, as everything culminated, it seems like she's starting to have her own doubts. First off, she tells the Jailer about Denathrius and how are we going to free this guy that was helping us, and Zovaal literally just says he served his own purpose. I'm guessing this hit Sylvanas really hard, not because she was emotionally tied to Denathrius or Revendred, but because she might have figured out that the Jailer is not so different to whoever is enslaving her indirectly. If the Jailer sees an Eternal One, a ruler of one of the most important realm of the Shadowlands and one of the most powerful characters in the universe, as easily dispensable, what is he going to think of some mortal Banshee Queen from a random world? I'm guessing she's also going to serve her own purpose in much the same way. However, Sylvanas obeys and goes to force Anduin against his will. She offers him a choice, but the type of a choice where it is only an illusion, exactly the same choice she received, and now she begins to falter. She tells him that she won't falter now after all she has gone through, but just the fact that she had to tell him that really means that she already began to falter. The cinematic ends with a cliffhanger, and really at this point it can just go either way, but you can definitely see that Sylvanas is very insecure in her choices, no longer arrogant and not completely dedicated to the cause as she previously was. Now, all of this is tied into who the Jailer is and why is he imprisoned and what was the original order of the Shadowlands, so it is hard to speculate when we don't have this critical information, the most important one, but she's definitely starting to get disillusioned with her new savior. Now, why she thought a guy that literally tortures innocent souls in a dark hellish prison would be the one to fight for the free will of the mortal lives is up for debate, but I'm guessing that he wants to revert to the old state of death, like what original death was, the chaotic consuming force that death might have been long ago. Seeing that Sylvanas is already undead and on the side of death almost completely, that might mean that she wants to participate in that cosmic war where death is a player once again. On the other hand, it is obvious that some mortality still remains in her and that she realized that she is literally becoming worse than Arthas and is causing the same type of injustice, if not worse, upon others, exactly what happened to her. My opinion thus far is that Sylvanas could, in fact, be playing a double agent here and might ultimately betray Zoal. What will reveal this is when we learn about who the jailer is actually and why is he imprisoned and what is this new order that he wants to bring, as obviously many are flocking to his side, so there must be something very important that is drawing them to him and about the injustice that was committed against the jailer. However, this brings us to Sylvanas' redemption, and I don't really see how that would happen exactly. I think it would be really cheap and would completely ruin the story if they just straight out redeemed Sylvanas Windrunner after she committed all these atrocities, but opportunities for a different type of redemption do exist. For example, Sylvanas could become an Illidan type character where she now imprisons the jailer or some other force and takes on the burden and just disappears from sight, or even more extreme, her soul could get destroyed. As tragic as this would be for her character, I think this is ultimately what she desires, to just undo the injustice and to rid her existence and to get the end that she felt she deserved when Arthas decided to raise her and to deny her the honorable death. Nonetheless, I do gotta admit that this twist happened a lot earlier than I had expected and that this is no doubt going to be one of the key parts in the story progression. Thank you for watching. Check out what Denathrius is out with the jailer by clicking on the screen, and also check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history and science. See you next time.